Was it was she like petting the dog or something, and it bit her, or?
Yeah, she was down. She was at
reached
this
down to
local
pet the dog.
festival petting a dog, and the dog just
The
went up and
dogs
boom,
were put
popped
out
her.
there to pet.
To be pet.
Right.
Gotcha.
So anyway,
Thanks.
we got to start fighting the case, right? And we love dog bites in our office because they're strict liability, right? We prove up the damages. We get our clients into a plastic surgeon, get them worked up. We know all the experts in town, and get a good future cost projection, because a lot of the value in the medical value in a scar is obviously your future scar revision surgery if you need it, or any kind of plastic surgery. And so we get all that done for our clients as soon as they're ready to get that done.
Awesome.
And then we're operating under the assumption that we're going to get a good recovery for the client, and then of course the client starts getting jerked around by everybody pointing fingers. And that was the struggle.
I was going to ask, what is the hurdle that we kind of had to
Right,
overcome?
because normally in dog bite cases, it's strict liability, so it's easy. You find the dog owner.
And explain strict liability for everybody, because a lot of people don't really understand what that means.
So it's a statute, the strict liability statute. Normally, if you're going to prove a case, or a plaintiff's going to bring a case before court, you have to prove liability. You have to prove your injuries were caused by someone else, and that person is responsible for causing your injuries. With strict liability, the dog bite statute specifically says that if you own the dog, or you have the dog in your care or keeping, so if you're watching the dog and feeding the dog, and the dog hurts somebody, you're responsible. It doesn't matter if the person, you asked, was she petting the dog? It doesn't matter if she was petting the dog, she was walking by the dog. If your dog escaped your backyard, you're responsible. And I think the reason that the legislators put that into place is because you can't figure out the intentions of a dog.
Right.
Yeah. You can't get inside the mind of a dog. And so the owners are responsible, because someone's got to be responsible. And so that's what strict liability is. And normally, if you find the owner, that's the responsible party. That's what the law says. In this case, it was very difficult, because people tried to say they didn't own the dog. It didn't happen in X location. And so it was a lot of finger pointing, and we really had to.
Homeowners was denying.
Yeah, we had to dig in. I mean, there was no insurance coverage on this case. And in some cases, the law kind of stacked up against us. But we were able to, we litigated it. I filed a bunch of motions. And it took a long time.
You argued the hell out of that case.
Yeah, it took a lot of time to get recovery for our client, but we ended up doing it really against all odds.
So who was liable in the end?
Everybody.
Everybody?
Yeah, everybody kicked in.
Everybody played a.
So we went
had a
from
hand
nobody
in that.
kicking in, everybody pointing fingers, to everybody kicked in, and she got a good recovery.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we're proud of that.
Huge. Crazy. Any
And
other notes on that
well,
one?
she was willing to understand this is going to take time. And here's another aspect to it. Some people they don't want it. They want to give up, or they don't want to keep digging in. But no, we filed a lawsuit. We're willing to go the distance. And we took it. I mean, they didn't settle that. We went to have a failed mediation, right? And still zero offer. And then finally, we hold their feet to the fire. You've heard me say this. They're denying, delaying, devaluing the case, right? We get a trial date. Magically, you get a phone call. Check 1. Phone call. Check 2. Didn't get a third phone call for a while. When they finally get that third phone call, bigger check number 3, client's happy, case is closed, and she's going to refer us everybody she knows.
And insurance companies do that because they're trying to weed them out, right? They're trying to exhaust them. A mom with 3 kids, that's what they're doing. It's a complete tactic, and it makes me so angry. And then at the very end, they just wait it out, and then they pay the money. And we fight like hell to get them to that point. And it's really hard, but it's so rewarding, because we know that client really felt heard and valued, and knew that what happened to her was not okay.
Yeah, and I think it meant a lot to her that we fought for her for so long, because it's kind of the opposite. We talked about the one before this where the accident happened in June. We were able to get it resolved. With denied liability cases like this, even in dog bites where it's supposed to be easy, it can always take longer. But we do that investigation from the beginning, and then we will fight to the end.
We jump right in the very beginning. We have investigators on it. We go walk the grounds. We go ride the roads. We talk to everybody, and we prepare it just like we're going to try every case. And I think that's the difference between our firm and other firms, is that we do all the really hard and heavy lifting and the legwork in the very beginning, so that it makes it a lot easier as we go along.
What do you say to clients who kind of get discouraged along the way, and they kind of want to give up, because we don't know for a fact what's going to happen in the end. So what do you kind of tell them to keep them motivated or having hope?
But we just have to be honest with them, okay? We can't give them tight time frames, because we don't know either.
Right.
We don't know until that, especially when we litigate a case, it can go on and on and on. We can only control what we can control, right? And so if you're the client, get your treatment, right? Because you can control that. You got to go to the doctor. If you start missing your doctor visits, then I can't help you until you get done treating, right? You have to be released from the doctor. So that's step one. And then on our end, when we start litigating a case, well, we get the complaint filed, we got our discovery answered, we get deposition scheduled, we can try to get to that mediation date. And that's the first point when we can try to get this thing worked out.
Right.
And then after that, is there any motions, anybody else we have to depose after a mediation, just in preparation for a potential trial.
Yeah.
And as long as we're driving the train on our end, we're going as fast as we can do. And it is discouraging, but we're honest with them. Look, hey, this is the next stage. This is what's happening next. And we're always saying, this happens. Here's the two ways it could go after this. Because everything could throw a curveball at us during litigation.
Right.
We don't know what the defense is going to do, or if they're going to file a certain motion. But we control what we can control. Be honest and open with the client. Keep that communication going constantly, and all the clients are happy.
And I think what we do best is no one wants to be in the dark about something affecting their life, right? And so we talk to our clients more than they say that. I've had a lawyer for this or this, even like down to a speeding ticket, whether it's a car wreck or whatever, a dog bite. We are constantly talking to our clients, and we've got this open line of communication, not just with our paralegals, but with our whole staff and our attorneys. And so we're constantly talking to them, educating them, because education is power, right? And the more you know is the more you know. And so we're constantly telling them about what's going on, keeping them in the know. And so when you have that open line of communication with your client, then it's really, they don't feel wore down by the insurance company, if that makes any sense.
And sometimes they just, I will, and especially in this case, I was getting more discouraged sometimes too. We like ebbed and flowed, where my client really, and then in turn motivated me to keep going, and then I motivated her to keep going. So you kind of get to know your client, and then you kind of pick each other up as you take these hits.
You totally
until you get to the end. And so it's not always them that are feeling discouraged. Sometimes it's us. Because it's a long process. But as long as we're having those conversations, I think we have great clients. And the ones who are willing to go the distance and to wait it out and say no at mediation are the most courageous clients that we have.
And I fire everybody up every 30 days in the office, so we don't let anybody get
Total Tony Robbins, Ric Flair, woo, let's do this. Get it going on kind of thing.
That is true. I've seen this firsthand. So moving on to our third big win for the year. And of course, we have lots of wins, but these are unique cases that may not have gone through that we overcame. So for the third one, it is about a pedestrian who was hit on a road. We're going with a residential road. Some say it's a different kind of road.
Right. Yeah.
But what happened here?
So we had a pedestrian, a Hispanic client, and she was walking home on a residential road and minding her own business and gets hit by a speeding truck. Catastrophic injury. Okay, she's a Hispanic client. There was Hispanic prejudice at play here. She was again found at fault by an officer who does not investigate. She's taken immediately to the emergency room. The officer never sees her, never talks to her. Talks to the truck driver in the middle of the night, right after the sun's gone down, and again finds her at fault. The family had no idea they could even possibly bring a claim because they've been told that she was at fault, right? And while this whole time she's laying up in the hospital for 3 months, 3 months total.
Oh my gosh.
Reaches out to us. We retain the client and immediately start an investigation, and then. Sarah stuck her claws in it and just started digging in hard.
When life gets ugly, justice is love.